everybody. Today we are back with another live footage from Italy, Montesilvano. We have a very exciting matchup today, I can tell you that. Because there are two streamers in this tournament, and today in round 1 they happen to play against each other. So today Kostya Kavutskiy with the white pieces is playing against Zachary Sane, and this will be a very exciting game, and I'm very excited, and I hope you are also very... Oh, I'm sorry for that. Yeah, I think now... Yes. I'm sorry. Some issues. Okay, I think now stream should be good. Almost good. Okay. Let me try to crop off the top part. Yeah, just give me a second here. Let's see. Yeah, just this top part. Small detail, but like this. Okay. No. Also not that. Okay, I think now. No, not okay. It's just this. Okay, I'll do this later. But yeah, we are having a very nice game today. So I'm very excited for that, and I hope so are you. So yeah, stream seems to be working, right? Chat, can you hear me? Can you see everything? Yes, Zach is playing against Kostya. So Kostya is playing against Zach. Very crazy matchup today. You can hear me? Yes, that's good. Hear and see. Wow. Okay, that's perfect. So right now we are waiting for the games to start, and there will be some announcements from the arbiters, I think, at least. So if you want me to, I can also turn on the sound so that you can hear what the arbiters are saying right before the round. It's always not the most interesting thing in the whole world, but I'll just turn it on and see what's going on there.
The playing area is
Can you
all
hear the
this
arbiter?
plus the bathroom that are on my right bathroom, and we have smoking and recreative area
I don't
just
know.
outside towards the
Okay.
sea and just
Turn that off?
outside
Yes, I will. Okay. Thank you very much for the sub. Thank you so much. Moser Chess. Very kind. Okay, yeah. That was the arbiter. They're always talking before the rounds, and yeah, just like basic information. It's very similar from every tournament. So yeah. It's not that important maybe. Hello everybody. Welcome in chat. Best commentator. Thank you so much. That means a lot to me. That definitely means a lot. Okay, right now we're waiting for the game to start. Do we have a link to follow the games live? Yes, we do. We do have a link. I can send it in chat. Yes, I'll just pull that up real quick. Give me a second here. Links are blocked. Yeah, for Zach, I think I can't send links into the chat. But today we are streaming from 2 different accounts. So we're streaming on the account of Zach, but then also on the account of Kostya. And I think that at least in Kostya's chat I should be able to send the link. So let me see. Yes, it's a very, very long link. Okay. Can I? Okay, so in Kostya's chat you can find the link, but then it's easily accessible through chess.com. So you can just open chess.com and search for Montesilvano, because that's where the tournament will be held. Montesilvano in Italy. And there you can find the link to follow the games. But we also have the live board in our stream, and there you can see the live game. So today we will have one board, not one live board and one analysis board, but we will have one board for everything. So it's the live board, but I will also analyze on there. And as you might have noticed, we started a little bit late today. That is because of 2 different reasons. So first of all, every single chess tournament is always a little bit late. That's just always the case. Like I think one time in my whole life I've been to a chess tournament which wasn't late, but only one time I believe, and I've played like 200 OTB tournaments in my life. So yeah, you can think for yourself. So that's not a lot of the tournaments start on time, but that's just very, very normal. Like every single tournament always starts a little bit late. Some start like 5 minutes late, but others start like half an hour late, sometimes maybe even more. Oh, and now we have an ad. Interesting. Yeah, I think this will happen like once in a while, but I should just be able to skip the ad and then it will be fine. So yeah, that was one of the reasons. And then the second reason is that just like in almost every other tournament, there is 15-minute delay in the games. So they have already started playing, but I paused the video, and now we have 15 minutes delay. So in like, I don't know, maybe 5 minutes, they should make their moves. But in real life, those 2 guys are already playing for, I don't know, for 10 minutes right now. So yeah, that's almost always the case. So yeah, that's just the way it is. It's to prevent cheating and stuff like that. I personally don't really understand it, but it's just like the regulations. So I think that no one who wants to cheat would open the stream. Especially today, it doesn't really make sense, but okay, it's the rules. And also I think that they will start playing any minute now. I think so. Yeah, but I'm not sure. Maybe it will take a while. Okay. So I see some questions in chat. So first of all, will I go live on my personal channel? I will go live on my personal channel for all the other rounds, which I'm covering, but not today, because I had some issue with like restream, and I have to upgrade my plan, and yeah, very difficult stuff. So yeah, I didn't manage to do that today, And as I say that, we see the handshake and the game has just started. So in theory, the second that Kostya makes his first move, the move will appear on the live board. Oh my god, that was perfect! I did not think that that would work. But look at that, that was perfectly timed. Wait, no, this is crazy. Look, Zach will make a move and it will appear on the live board. I'll put my hands up, I'm not moving. Zach will make a move. Don't make me look stupid. Please don't take so much time. Why are you thinking for so long? Why are you thinking? Now I'm making a fool out of myself. What is happening here? E6? Oh no, what? The live board is not working anymore. Okay, that's sad. I thought, it was working, but not for long. Okay, this is not the way I imagined it to be. I'll refresh it real quick. No, okay. I don't know, there seems to be some issue with the live board. Oh no, now the moves come in. Now the moves are coming in. Yes, that's very, very good. Okay, I think it should work. I thought it was like completely perfect when c4 appeared. Now we played d5. Let's see if it appears on the board or not. d5. Yes, okay. So I don't have to make the moves manually. They will just appear on the board. Oh, but now the board crashed. Why? I didn't do anything with my mouse, but it just crashed. It happened for the second time already. So if this happens like a few times more, then I'll just put the moves in manually. I can also do that. But okay, maybe refresh one more time. Okay, I don't know. Well, we had c4, the English opening, e6, very standard approach. There are a lot of moves to play. You can play c6, c5, e6, e5, knight f6, d6, like a lot of moves. Everything is fine. e6 is, I don't know if it's the move which is played the most. I don't think so. But it's definitely top 3. We had knight f3, d5, and now we had the move g3. So this is heading into a Catalan or a Reti. So if the pawn moves to d4, we will have a Catalan position. But if it doesn't, then we will have a Reti, which is also pretty nice opening, I have to say that. But yeah, right now Zach seems to be thinking. Yes, yes. Zach is thinking right now. So this is definitely not a surprise for him or anything. It's just that he is deciding which opening to play. So there are different approaches how to play here. I think I would just play this standard setup. So knight f6, bishop e7, and short castle. A lot of people do that and it's a very solid system. And you can basically play that with black against anything except one e4. So yeah, a lot of people just always play like this and then see what happens after that. So this would be like a standard approach. So that's definitely definitely a way to go. But obviously you can do it differently. You can play like a quick c5 or maybe c6. I know that Zach likes to play this triangle position. One famous streamer would say with the right triangle. So yeah, I think this might also happen. But yeah, many different moves here, and let's see what happens. Zach shouldn't take too long to decide which opening to play, because he will need the time later. But it's also, it's like, it's good to just make sure and to just take some time to see what happens and what you want to go for. That's definitely good. But what I'm saying is you shouldn't take like 15 minutes just for this opening. So yeah, that's not what you want to do. But you can definitely take like 2 or 3 minutes to decide what you want to happen. So yeah, that's completely fine. But I know Zach, I know him pretty well, and what he often does is he just thinks way too long in the opening. Like it's crazy how long he thinks sometimes. But yeah, he's a very good player, but I always tell him, if I'm not like his coach or anything, but if I were his coach, I would tell him all of the time that he should play faster. It's not easy to do that, but sometimes it's necessary, because I've done commentary for Zach for what, like, I don't know, 20 times now, and it's rare that he is up on time. But yeah, let's see what happens today. He is still thinking, and it's not bad, as I said, but still you have to make a move at some point, because you will need the time. You have like 90 minutes for the first 40 moves. You get an additional 30 seconds per move, but it sounds like you have infinite time basically. But if the position gets complicated, or if you just have to calculate a lot, then it's very hard to do that with little time. Yeah, so that's why he has to save some time. Like he has a bunch of time on his clock. Oh, and speaking of clocks, I think that I might need your help here, as the board crashed again, because there are no clocks. But why? I think the clock is not working. Chat, does anyone know anything about that? Why the clock is not there? I'll refresh the board. Yeah, I'm not quite sure what's happening here. Okay, we didn't have a lot of moves, so I can just play manually. So this is the live position right now. But yeah, we don't have the clocks. That's not great, because it's quite an important factor. And it's also way more exciting if we know that someone has like 5 minutes left, or if we can say, oh, now he has to make a move. And also if we know, oh, he spent 25 minutes on this move, so he calculated a lot, or he was very unsure. So yeah, there are many different things to talk about with the time usage and the time management. But yeah, today, I don't know, there's just no clock. For a second I thought that the camera froze, but that was just because Zach is always just sitting so still, like he's not moving at all. Did the camera freeze? No, it didn't. I thought for a second that, oh, the camera froze. But no, we see a woman walking in the background, so the camera is perfectly fine. It's just that Kostya and Zach are not moving. They are not moving the pieces, but also they are not moving themselves. They are just sitting there without a lot of movement. And Zach still thinking here. I would love to see the time, but yeah, maybe we just have to zoom in to the clock. So if someone has like very, very good eyes and can, okay, this is also another thing. The sun always seems to appear and shine very, very bright, but then it's gone again. So, okay, so it's a little bit bright. So right now it's basically impossible to see the clock, but also, yeah, me right now, I have no chance of seeing anything on the clock. But if someone of you could zoom in and like see how much time Zach has spent, it's like not much, maybe 5 or 7 minutes or something like that. But still, I would like to know how much time he spent already, because I think he should make a move like at some point. As I told you, just to save some time. But yeah, I don't know. Still thinking what move to play. Hello, welcome in chat. Welcome. Oh, you chose the wrong question. How is my classical rating doing? Yeah, it's not doing well, I can tell you that. So, as you can see in the command, I think we have a command in both streams. So, in the stream of the Chess Nerd, there's command max, I think that's my name. My name is Max. And then you can type in the command and find out a little bit more about myself. Also, there's a link to my socials. And in the stream of Kostya, I think there's command host. Yeah, exactly. And it's exactly the same thing. You can just find out a little bit more about myself, who I am, what I do. So yeah, feel free to check that out. So yeah, in there it says my peak is 2273, and that's pretty good, I would say. So yeah, I'm 17 years old, as you can read in there. So yeah, my rating is 22. My peak rating is 2273. Oh, and this is actually not updated. Okay, I will talk to Zach about that. It's not like that important, but yeah, it's just like this is a little bit outdated. My life rating is not 2273, unfortunately. Right now, I've lost almost 200 rating. This is like very, very sad. Right now I'm on 2085. So yeah, with K40 you're winning a lot, but you're losing a lot. And right now I've lost everything. 2085. And we finally get a move. There was a question about the best move, and multiple moves are good, but I think this is the best move. So I don't know about best move like knight f6, as you say, knight f6, c6, maybe you can take on c4, also completely reasonable. But knight f6 is like the standard approach, I would say. And we immediately get a move, because the live board is not really working. I have to see. chat, can anyone see what the move was he played? Bishop g2 would be like almost automatic, but I don't know. I think it was bishop g2, and then we had bishop e7. I think bishop g2 was played. There's no guarantee for that, but I think that's the case. Bishop g2, bishop e7. Now we might see castles and castles. Always very important to bring your king to safety. Yes, we see castles, so bishop g2 was played indeed. And now Zach would probably also castle. Like he can also play something else. c6, knight d7, b6. Everything is reasonable, I would say. But yeah, short castles makes a lot of sense, and that's the move you have to play anyway. And that's always a very good concept. If you have multiple moves that you want to play, then you should play the move first, which you have to play anyway. So there's no way that here you want to castle long way. Maybe there will be commentator's curse and Zach will do that, but I've not seen that a lot in the Reti or Catalan position that black castles the long way. So like it's almost automatic that you go here, but you are not very sure maybe what you want to do with your pieces. So for example, if you play knight d7, knight bd7, then maybe you might regret that later because you want your knight on c6. I don't know if that's logical here, but there are ideas to take the pawn on c4, play knight c6, something like this. That's completely fine. But yeah, we get castles. That's the move that I would have played, and it's very, very logical. And now the question is, will Kostya play d4 or not? Like he can wait to play it, but he can also do it right now. So d4, that's like the question that will decide which opening we are having. So if he plays d4, then it will be the Catalan, and he doesn't, he plays b3. So this is the Reti opening. It's a solid opening, and I've also played it myself, and it's just, you get a decent position. There is like a little bit of theory, but not like crazy theory where you have to know everything. So it's not completely important, like you can't live without like huge files of theory. So this is just like a decent position. And we did get a move. I think Zach played c5. Is that right? Did he go c5? I think he did. But I'm not... Okay, chat, you have to help me here. Did he play c5? There's a pawn, I think. There's a pawn next to the pawn on d5. Yes, he played c5. Yes. Okay, that's definitely a reasonable choice. Now, Kostya has the chance. First of all, he can play bishop b2, but he has the chance to immediately take on d5. And if Zach takes back with the pawn, then he can play d4. And now he's kind of provoking a position where black will end up with an IQP or with hanging pawns. So if this is normal so far, but like if you just develop and I don't know, just like some move, I don't know, then Kostya could take and take, and now e3, something like this, And now this is like a pretty standard IQP position. IQP meaning isolated queen's pawn. This is an IQP right here. It's a queen's pawn and it's also isolated, meaning there are no pawns next to it. So as you can see on the C file and on the E file there are no pawns. So that's why this is an isolated pawn. And it's very interesting to play, to have like an IQP on the board, because it creates different opportunities. So it might be a weakness, but it also might be a strength in some positions. I would say that I would prefer to play against it, but that's very different from player to player. So yeah, white wants to kind of blockade the pawn and just play around it and then attack it at some point. And black wants to start like a kingside attack, because black will have the open e file, bring the rooks, and throw everything at the king. That's kind of black's plan. And white just wants to blockade everything and make sure that he has like a good position, and then in the long term just try to win the isolated queen's pawn. So yeah, it's very double-edged positions can happen with an isolated queen's pawn. But yeah, this is a little bit far from the game. So let's see what happened. I think he didn't take. The pawn is still on c4, but it's Zach's move. So oh, c5 has been played by the live board. Oh, perfect! And we have the clocks. Wow! Look at this. Look at this. Live board is working again. Perfect. Nice. So okay, it's not working again. I take back everything that I said. I don't know why it does that. It just, the moves are here, but it jumps back to like the starting position. I don't know why though, but it just does that. So yeah, I have no idea why this is happening, but I think it will be fine. Like if it gets very annoying, then I'll just switch and we won't have the live board with like the names and the pictures and the rating, but we will just have an analysis board and then I can put the names manually. I can do that. But I think we will just leave it as is for the moment at least. Oh, hello Bournemouth fan. Nice to see you. Yes, exactly. Long time no see. It's been a while since I've done commentary. I think the last time was for the Munich Chess Festival, and that was like more than 2 months ago, I think. Maybe even 3. I don't really remember, but definitely quite a long time. So yeah, this is pretty exciting for me to be back with some commentary, and then the first game, like the matchup we've all been waiting for basically. So like the perfect matchup. So we can focus on only one game. I have to admit it was a little bit stressful, because like maybe 15 minutes before the round they told me, oh yeah, we're playing against each other by coincidence, and then I had to like basically move everything around in the stream. So this was just like not as we prepared, because we will have that's also a very very nice thing. We will have a stream with 2 games at once. So that will be very very nice. Just like the last tournament that Zach and Kostya played together, this will also be the case here, that there will be 2 games at once, 1 or 2 commentators, and they will just cover the games. I will do most of the games for this tournament. but with two boards in one stream. So that's very exciting. But yeah, this is just like improvised kind of. So chat, if you have any improvements for this, then please feel free to write them in chat. Like, oh, I can definitely, I will do that real quick. I have this triangle, yes, completely forgot about that. And I'll just move this around a little bit to try to fit it into the triangle. Oh no, that does not work. Then I'll do it like this. Okay, I think almost. Okay, this I'm always a perfectionist when it comes to stuff like this. Has to be perfect. So like this kind of, maybe I have to cut off a little bit more of this. So yeah, as you can see, it's not very easy to set this up, but if I do it like this, yes, now we have a small white triangle around the camera, which it's also not perfect. Yes, just give me a second while I'm trying to figure this out. Just a little tiny bit smaller. Okay. Okay. Oh, it says not okay actually. Oh my god. This has to fit, but it doesn't really fit, which is not great. But I'm trying my best here. Just bear with me. Yes, now it's good. Maybe like this. Yes. Yes. Perfect. So now there's a small triangle just for you guys. I think this is definitely better. Okay. I could also add a triangle around myself, around my camera. Chat, do you want that? Do you want a white triangle? Or do you not want a white triangle? Please tell me in chat. And also, if anything is not the way you want, then please tell me. We can definitely change anything here. This is just like improvised, completely improvised. So yeah, just if anything is throwing you off or is not perfect for you or not the way you want it to be, then just tell me and I will change it. So yeah, but if everything is fine for you, then I'm also happy. Is this game federated? Yes, it is. Yes, it is. So this is a classical OTB tournament, and every game here is federated. And yes, so all of the 8 remaining games after this will also be federated. So it's a pretty important game. And I saw that Zach played b6. The live bot did not make the move yet. So what I could do is now we wait just a little bit. Just a little bit and see if it updates or not. But yeah, b6 has been played. So b6, yeah, that seems normal so far, I would say. Like the critical line is to go d4. that's, I think, also the best by the engine. You can play d4 to grab some space in the center, and then it will get kind of sharp. So there are different ideas here. I think the main move is to go e3 and to just attack in the center. And now black can play knight d6 to just reinforce the pawn on d4, and then at some point black will go for e5, and black is controlling like the center, but we have this classic Benoni structure. You play rook e1 and d3, so like just make some move. No, so this is like a pretty normal position here, and it's a little bit double-edged. Like, not everybody likes this, but it is what it is, and some people think this is the best position to play, but it's like not the most entertaining maybe, because it's kind of a slower position. Like white wants to play on the queen side, a3 b4 or something like this. Black wants to play on the king side and in the center maybe with e5 and maybe f5 at some point. So this could happen, but it didn't. So d4 is a very interesting move, but Zach chose b6, which is also completely fine. Okay, and I just saw that the clocks are gone again. So I don't know what's happening with this live board. Like maybe I'm doing something wrong, but I'm not touching my keyboard, not doing anything, and I'm just making some moves. So I don't know, I think it's not my fault, and if it is, then I apologize, but I really don't know what I'm doing wrong, if I'm doing anything wrong. But yeah, I think you also saw it. We had like the clocks for maybe 1 minute. I don't know. They were there for 1 minute. But yeah, there seems to be some issue with the live board. I don't really know why, because I've never dealt with this issue. But yeah, there's always something happening. Always something happening. So it's rare that everything just goes perfectly well. You always have to kind of improvise. But it's also, it makes a lot of fun to commentate. It's very, very nice. And I'm trying my best that you are also having fun. So, oh, and I see a good question. Who wants whom to win? Chat, who do you want to win? I think Zach's chat might want Zach to win, and Kostya's chat might want the opposite. But maybe there are also some imposters in chat who want the other person to win. Or maybe some people want a draw, which would also be a possibility here today. A draw would be a good result for Zach, because Kostya is definitely the clear favorite, as you can see in the rating. So yeah, Kostya is the favorite. So Kostya has 2328 FIDE rating, and Zach has 2013 at the moment. So Kostya has more than 300 rating points more than Zach. So yeah, Kostya is definitely the favorite. He's also an international master. Zach doesn't have a title yet, but he will get at least a CM in the near future, I would say. But it's all obviously not very easy to gain 200 rating points, but he was close to 2100. I don't know if he crossed 2100 actually. Does anyone in chat know if Zach cross 2100 at some point, because I'm not sure. Maybe with live rating, but with classical rating, which was also confirmed by the 1st of the month, I don't know if that crossed 2100. I'm not sure about that, but I am sure that Kostya crossed 2400, because that's like kind of the 4th norm to being an IM. So if you want to be an international master, you have to have 2400 rating, but live rating is also sufficient. So yeah, maybe it was just live rating, but that I don't know actually. Hello, welcome in chat. I hope you're having a good time. And yes, it's just coincidental that they got paired. It's a pretty big tournament, and it's actually like a huge coincidence that they got paired. So I don't exactly know how many players there are, but I could also check that, or maybe someone of you could do that, to just go to the chess results and then check how many players there are. That would be kind of interesting for me. I can also do it myself. Yeah, I could also do that. Maybe I'll do that. Yes. You think that Kostya will win? Yeah, that's maybe that's the most likely result. Zach shouldn't hear that I'm saying that, but I think deep down inside he will also agree that the most likely result is a win for Kostya today, because as I said, he's playing with the white pieces, and he's also like the clear favorite. But he's also taking a think right now. b6 has been played, and I think now I would go for this idea to take, and push, because then we will definitely have a pretty double-edged position. So, oh, he plays d4 immediately. Interesting. Or did he? I think he played it immediately. I'm not sure actually. I'm not sure. So the live board is not updated yet. So I don't want to refresh it, because then maybe everything will just break down, and then I won't have any of the moves that I made. So I'm not refreshing the live board again, I think. But also I would really like to know what is going on. So yeah, I don't know what is happening with the live board today. The clock situation is a little bit weird. Clock is appearing and then disappearing, and yeah, I don't really know. I hope that for the other rounds that will be better than before. But also I don't know if it will. Hopefully. And also if not, it's also not the end of the world, not at all. So we can just take a look at the clocks in the stream and actually look at the actual clock. So we can do that. That's definitely possible, but I'm speaking out of experience when I say that's not always very easy. So yeah, if anyone has like very good eyes, then please feel free to try to figure out what's the time situation right now, because I can't see that. But also the doctor told me that I need glasses, so yeah, that was not great. I did this test to verify that my sight is good, and then the doctor asked me, in which way are the circles opened? So do they have a hole on the left side, on the right side, on the top, on the bottom? And I said, what circles are you talking about? So yeah, I didn't even see those circles. So maybe I need glasses. Maybe I do. So yeah, definitely I can't see the time. Maybe someone of you can do that. You could just zoom in. But yeah, I can't. I can't. No, I definitely can't. It's way too small. Did I play David in Germany? What kind of David are you talking about? What kind of David do you mean? I've definitely played a few Davids in my life, I can tell you that. But I don't know. I guess I didn't, okay. David, the chess opening. I... oh no. David Pruess? I know him, and I think that he will also do some commentary for... Maybe he will. I'm not quite sure actually, because I will cover 6 rounds for this tournament, and then I know that one round will be covered by Alexandra Prado. Very, very, very nice person, in my opinion, but exactly as nice is Phoebe Witte, who will also be doing commentary. But if you add that up, then I'm doing 6, and both of them are doing 1 round. So 1 round is missing, I believe. But also I'm not sure. Maybe Alexandra's actually doing round 4 and round 8. Yeah, I think that might be the case. So maybe David is not doing commentary. But yeah, maybe he will join me. So that's a possibility. But I don't know that yet. So we are looking for co-hosts, so maybe we'll have some co-hosts for the next round. Maybe we won't. I don't know that yet. I really don't know that yet. But it's Zach to move, right, chat? I can't even see which way the clock is pointing. I think that's kind of concerning, maybe. Oh yeah, but it's Zach to move. Nothing has happened. And you could really think that the camera is frozen, that it's like crazy how little they are moving. I think when I'm playing, then I'm moving a little bit more than they are. I'm always just readjusting my sitting position to find the most comfortable position, but then also to go into deep focus mode, just like Zach is doing right now. He's having his head in his hands and just really deep diving into this position. So now there are different moves. So let's get back to the chess. So the center is just full of pawns right now. There are 4 pawns on like kind of central squares. So d4, d5 are in the center, but also c4 and c5 are pretty near to the center. So there's a lot of tension there. And at some point, all of those pawns might trade off, because there's always like this tension. And Zach plays bishop b7. Did he play bishop b7? Yes, he did, because the c8 square is empty now. So bishop b7 has been played. That's a very good move. It's also very logical to develop your bishop, and that's the best square for the bishop to just like a lightsaber cut through the position here. We say this is a fianchetto. So yeah, fianchetto. I don't exactly know the pronunciation in English. In Italian, I think it's fianchetto. I think at least. But also for that, I'm not sure. So anyway, bishop e7 has been played. It's a good move. And I think we will see knight d7 next, maybe rook c8, something like this. So yeah, it's a pretty normal position. White will also do something along the lines of that. Knight d2 or knight c3 is the question here, I would say. I'm not entirely sure what Kostya wants to play. I think that both moves are just totally fine. Like you can put your knight on c3, you might as well put it to d2. And yeah, the plan is to just wait. Right now there's like this huge tension in the center of the board. So as I highlighted, there are 4 pawns in the center or near to the center. So there's this huge tension, and one rule of chess is that you shouldn't relieve the tension. And just as I say that, Kostya does exactly that and relieves some tension here in the center. It's completely reasonable to do that because he might have something in return for that. Like there's this rule that you shouldn't relieve tension in the position without any reward for that. So if you just relieve the tension, as you can see here, now Zach will take with some piece on d5, maybe knight takes d5, and now the knight has improved. So the position of the knight on d5 is better than on f6. So because Kostya like broke the tension, Zach had something in return for that, and Kostya didn't really, or maybe here it's not that obvious, but obviously this is still completely fine, and Kostya has a small advantage still, and he has something in return here. But yeah, I don't know what I'm making of this of those decisions by Kostya, because we will have like a pretty not drawish position, but like pretty equal position. Maybe also a little bit drawish. So if I just make some moves, like take, something like this, here you can notice that the pawn structure is very symmetrical. Like both sides are missing the c and d pawns, and yeah, that's why it's like pretty equal here. Like it's definitely possible to win, but also it's not very easy. This is a position which is almost impossible to lose for white, I would say. And you can squeeze black out and like crazy. You can definitely do that, and it's a solid approach. But I'm oftentimes kind of scared that the game just fizzles out to a draw. Like the queens get traded off, then the rooks get traded off, and then some minor pieces, and then it's like this very equal endgame, which is very hard to win. Something like that, and that's always not perfect, at least. So yeah, I think if I would have played against someone 300 rating points below me, I would have, I'm sorry, after b6, I would have taken here and then played d4, because now the position is more double-edged. So if you were to take, then I think white has a pretty good position, because this IQP here seems to be more of a weakness than a strength. So this would be pretty good. But also if black does something normal, then at some point you could take, and then there will be those hanging pawns in the center of the board, which are a pretty interesting pawn structure, but they are definitely very double-edged. So if I'm the favorite in the game, I always want it to be like more double-edged. But yeah, there are different approaches. You can argue that okay, I'm the better player, so if there are more complications, then my opponent has more options to go wrong. I guess you can say it like that. But then you can also argue that just like the other way around. Like if there are more complications, then myself, I have more to lose and more options to make a mistake. And yeah, a lot of players, including Kostya in this game, I would say, just want like a solid position where maybe nothing much is going on, but also it's not like that equal. So we get queen takes d5. Yep, makes sense, I would say. It's kind of running into knight c3, but then you could place your queen somewhere. Oh, wait. Boom, 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 boom. So knight c3, definitely possible here, but you could place your queen like somewhere on h5, where it's more active than on d8. So that's definitely a possibility. Yeah, you might be wondering what happens if the knight moves like to h4 or to e1, because there is this kind of pin on the queen and the bishop behind it. But if the knight moves, let's say to h4, then the queen will just go back, and white doesn't really want to trade off those bishops, because now you can see that there are some holes here. Maybe not f3, but g2 and h3 are pretty weak squares. So there are a lot of ideas. So for example, imagine this knight is on h3, all of a sudden it's mate. It's not easy to move the knight to h3, but there are definitely ideas to attack here. So that's not what you want to do. So I would be very surprised if Kostya moves his knight right now to try to trade off those bishops, because this is the better white bishop. It's protecting the king, but then it's also in the future it will be very, very strong. It will be a pretty strong piece. But also this bishop, it's also pretty good. Right now, it's just staring into this pawn, but in the future, if the pawn takes on c5, or if it's taken by the pawn on c5, then the bishop on b2 will also be a very, very good piece. So both of white's bishops are pretty good pieces, and I think that Kostya doesn't really want to trade too much of the pieces. So you could you could trade like some pieces here. If you take, if bishop takes, then you take the queen, something like this. You trade everything off, but also here black could trade queens and take here, and then go knight c6, rook d8, maybe this one, I don't know, and just trade everything off. And it's not very easy to make progress and to try to play for a win. So I don't think that Kostya wants to trade off queens, but if he doesn't want to do that, then he might have to play knight c3, because if you play like another move, let's just make a move, rook e1, doesn't really make sense, because now I think you can take on d4, and this would just be pretty equal. example this, you trade everything off. And I think here it's definitely possible, but not easy at all, to play for a win as white. So I think this is not what he wants. I think he wants a little bit more pieces on the board to try to complicate matches at some point at least. So I think knight c3 is kind of a logical move here. I could also check what if this position was ever played on chess.com. Can I do that? Oh, this is also weird. Usually I'm able to do that, but I think with this live bot, not really actually. Oh, yes, I am. Okay, this is not the exact position, but yeah, this is the exact position. Okay, so this happened, then d4, very, very logical. Bishop b7, c takes d5, and then we had queen d5. And on chess.com, this was only played one time. So there are millions of games on chess.com, and only one time in the history of chess.com was this position on the board. So it's not the most forcing line, and many moves are good and okay. So that's probably why there was only one game which was exactly like this. But yeah, this is the current live position, and here we have Kostya thinking. In that one game, knight h4 was played, but as I said earlier, I think that's not a good move. Also not a huge mistake, but that's strategically speaking not a great move. You doubt that Zach will recapture on d5 with a knight. Yeah, maybe you're right. Maybe it's a better idea to take with the queen, and Zach did that. So you were definitely right about that. So yeah, now we have the queen on d5, which can be kicked away with knight c3. But yeah, as I said, queen h5 is probably the idea. If you, after knight c3, if you go back, okay, it's also completely fine. But if you d6, maybe d6, yeah, why not here? Seems to be very reasonable too. Yeah, this is also completely fine. Could also go to h5 and then try to play for some attack. For example, I can show one sample line. This will never happen. This is just playing for tricks. As you can see, black is already losing here. But if Kostya is not careful, but he will definitely see that if he plays some move, then there's actually bishop takes f3, getting rid of the defender of the knight, which was protecting the pawn on h2. And now, oh, this would not be good, but this would be checkmate. And Zachary Sane would win this game. But this would not happen. But this is like just to illustrate the point that black wants to go for some kind of attack. Zach would never play knight g4 here, but just to illustrate the point. So something along the lines of that might happen if the queen goes to h5. So queen takes d5 has been played, and now it's Kostya's move. Is it? Yes, it is. And I will take a sip of my water. So, queen takes d5. So, what are the candidate moves right now? I think knight c3 is the most logical, but you could also play e3. You want to do that sooner or later anyway, but maybe you want to push your pawn to e4, so not right now obviously, because that will just be captured, but like sometime in the future, e4, e5 is definitely a possibility. That's happening a lot in those kind of positions. Like at some point those pawns will be traded, and then white can try to go for e4, e5 to grab a lot of space in the center, and then white could potentially start a kingside attack to go for mate somehow. So that's definitely a possibility, but to go e3 is also completely fine. So e3 right now, it's just like a solid move, I would say. But you have to calculate what happens if black takes. If you take the pawn, then it would be nice if you could recapture with the knight, but the problem is that the knight had a very, very important job, because now queen takes g2 would just be checkmate, and that would be very tragic. So the knight cannot take. You could take with the queen and just trade off, like, I don't know, maybe take with the knight, just trade off everything, and now that it would just be like a position we already had before, where nothing much is going on, but also where anything is still possible. That's fine, but Kostya could also take with the pawn, which is interesting at least. But I would think that if someone is better here, then it should be black, because black has control of the d5 square. That's the most important square in this position for the black side, because that's like one of the only squares which can never be attacked by a white pawn. So this is an IQP. I already explained what that is. So there are no pawns on the C and E file. So it's not possible to put a pawn on c4 or e4. So the d5 square is like the perfect square, and ideally black wants to put a knight in front of the IQP, because that's the perfect outpost for the knight. So yeah, that's what black wants to do, and I think here it might be a little bit hard to create some kingside attack from the white side. So I think here I would prefer to be black. So after e3, he's either fine with the queen trade, or he wants to play this IQP position. But if both of those options are not good enough for Kostya, then he has to play something else. And that something else should be knight c3. And he does just that. Knight c3 on the board. Now the question is, where does the queen go? In the Scandinavian, this is a very similar type of position right now as a Scandinavian. Not like the pawn structure or anything, but in the Scandinavian, e4, d5, you take on d5, queen takes, and then knight c3. This is exactly the same thing basically. The queen has three different options. Could go to d8 all the way back, d6 a little bit more active, or to h5, which is even more active but has a different approach and a different plan behind it. So this is exactly like in the Scandinavian. So yeah, black has to choose. I think that I would maybe go to d6, but it's a hard decision, and I can see Zach taking some time here to figure it out, what he wants to do. So if he goes to d6, he has to be a little bit careful of some e4, e5 tricks in the future. But right now, e4 is not possible because the pawn will just be hanging. And this would be pretty bad for Kostya. But you could try to prepare that and then go e4, e5. So you have to be a little bit careful. If you make a move, e4 maybe. I don't know about e4 right now because this is hanging. But you have to consider that. Then it will be pretty sharp actually. Is e4 possible here? I don't know. I can see the eval bar. It says not really. But oh, now the eval bar is gone. Yeah, so e4. I think black should take and then e5 maybe, but oh, you're able to just sack your knight. Okay, this is a pretty complicated variation because now the queen is hanging, the knight is hanging, but your own knight is also hanging. But yeah, black can give up the knight, and if you take, then you trade one. Oh, do you trade? I don't know. This should also be pretty good, but it seems to be not the best by the engine. So I can't see the engine variations. But the king takes, then you take on c3, and yeah, now you are one pawn up as black, and that would be great for Zach, great news. But yeah, this will not happen. And also Zach did not play queen d6 yet. Zach is a very aggressive chess player, I can tell you that. He always wants to win, doesn't matter against whom he is playing, he always wants to win. So I can see him playing queen h5, which is like the most active. And then you are trying to create some kind of king-side attack. So that's the plan. That's the plan. Oh, and I see an interesting question in chat. Who am I rooting for? I think I can't tell you that, but I'm rooting that we have a very exciting game with nice tactics, and I think at least I hope that it will be double-edged and that we have a lot to talk about. And I'm rooting against just a quick draw, but I think it's very unlikely that that's happening because I think both of them want to win. He went queen h5. That's exactly right. Yes, queen h5. As I said, I can definitely see Zach going for this. And he did. So now Kostya has to make a decision again. There is still this tension between those pawns, but I guess you don't want to relieve the tension because now, in my opinion, it doesn't make any sense to take on c5 because then the bishop will just take back, I think. Could also think about rook d8 actually. Yeah, why not play rook d8 if you have the chance to do that? And then take on c5. And this would be pretty decent for black at least. So yeah, I think taking on c5 doesn't make any sense because you get nothing in return and are just giving up your nice center with the pawn on d5. It will get traded off anyway at some point, but if you go for e3 for example, and then after this trade here you have at least you have the active knight in the center compared to the other position. compared to this. Here you don't have the active knight, your queen is misplaced, black has an active bishop and also an active rook on the d file. So this is just a way worse variation of this trait. So yeah, here you can really see that it's not good to just again, commentator's curse. He takes on c5. That's crazy. Second time today with Kostya. Second time. I just wanted to say, here you can see that it doesn't make sense to relieve the tension. And he immediately goes for relieving the tension. That's crazy. I think this has never happened to me, that twice in the same principle. Like, this is not a mistake or anything, but I would think that it's not the most I don't know, most double-edged move or something like that. Rook d8 is kind of a good move, I would say. But maybe the idea of Kostya is that he wants to keep the queens on the board. But yeah, I don't know. Like this position with the queen on c1, I highlighted the pieces. I can also highlight this one. Like the bishops are doing a great job just staring down those two diagonals. And this is not like Zach has an advantage or something, but it's equal, I would say. And the engine also approves of that. It says Kostya has like a small advantage. But yeah, exactly as you say, it's not the most challenging move. Also, what to do if you don't take on c5, then black will take on d4 in the next turn. So if you don't want to trade queens, then maybe it's actually the only thing you can do. So maybe it's just logical that Kostya wants to keep queens on the board. You saw after e3, here he has to take with the knight, because otherwise if he takes with the queen, then that would be a tragic mistake once again, because the knight is hanging. And after the trade, I think here he would resign. So yeah, this is not what you should do. And also if you take like this is also not a great variation of this IQP position. So yeah, I think if he wants to keep queens on the board, then maybe taking on d4 was kind of like the only move. But if that's the only move, then I think that the opening was a small success for Zach. Like, I know that Zach spent some time already. Like, we've been almost streaming for 1.5 hours, and we are on move 10 in the opening, and pretty much nothing forcing has happened so far. So Kostya also spent some time, but I would think that Zach has spent more time. And to follow up on your question in chat, what's the time situation? That's a very good question, but unfortunately, I don't know. Usually there are like the clocks right next to the board, like here where I have my mouse. There should be like the clocks, but for some reason they are just not there. What I can do is open Discord. Oh, I'm sorry for that. I am very sorry for that.